Hey, Steph. How are you doing? I hope you're ready to play a game where you talk to dead people. Oh, well, I'm doing just fine. Me and my girlfriend started fostering a new cat. And he was very hissy yesterday, but he's doing a lot better now because he has probably had time to settle in and has not been dragged around in a car. He's very friendly, although his meowing noise is very weird. It always sounds a little like he's yelling. Maybe he is yelling. Who can say? Excuse me. Uh. His name is Pearson, which is a weird name for a cat, but whatever. He's very nice. He's like mostly black with white spots on him. He's cute. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably tweet out a photo of him at some point if I can get a decent photo of him. Yeah, it does look a little like Ash, actually. Similar pattern. Clock on the wall says it is 10 past, so let's get started. Welcome to Necrobarista. I don't remember how I found out about this game. I believe an artist I follow named Anderjack talked about it, because I get a lot of good indie game recommendations from her. She has a lot of interesting ideas about game design. She's cool. You should follow her on Twitter if you are not. I think she's the one who pointed me in the direction of this. My understanding is it takes place in a coffee house, where you kind of converse with the recently deceased, and they have some time to, get their affairs in order, work through their stuff. Something along those lines, I think. It's been a while since I actually bought this game, and so I don't quite remember how it goes, but obviously we're gonna get a little up-to-date about this. And apparently at some point they had a fancy update, so now it's Necrobarista Final Pour. I don't know what that means, to be honest, because I didn't play this game previously, so I have no idea what is new about it. But let's just hop right in. It's a good loading animation. I like that. Hello, Brad, the Anime Panda Man. I think that if it's like Google or something, that might just be that it is new enough that it is not in their search engine yet. If it's not coming up in general, I can't say. That sounds strange, frankly. Hello. There's a sleeping eye. They thought of the faraway grave on the plain. They thought of the comrade who came not again. They lifted their glasses, and sadly they said, "We drink to the name of the mate who is dead, Henry Lawson." You should look up and see if that is a real person. Cough. Cough, cough. It's too bloody damp down here. This game was made in Australia, by the way. I know we're underground, but I don't suppose there are any windows we could open. That's a good question. I don't have a very good understanding of how YouTube works, frankly. I don't think anyone on YouTube does. YouTube kind of like to keep it all a big closed box. Possibly it's just the account is new enough or has few enough subscribers that maybe their search engine doesn't like to recognize it or something. I couldn't say, to be honest. YouTube! It's a hot mess. If it weren't the biggest video streaming platform in the world, I don't think anyone would actually use it willingly. There's a ventilation duct in here somewhere. Maddie, Mind opening it up, get some fresh air circulating. Other end's blocked right now. There's a dumpster sitting on top of it. You'll have to grin and bear it. I like this clock, it's nice. Can we hurry this up? Calm your farm, old man. You're well aware it takes a while to set up. I don't appreciate your tone. Sorry. At the very least, can we turn some lights on? With all the rubbish you've got scattered around the place, I'd like to at least know where I'm putting my feet. Ashley, would you mind? Clicky. Fancy! Creepy! I like the music in this game so far. It's been pretty good. Thanks. You're more organized than last time, I see. Sigh. Practice makes perfect. Hey, Maddie. How much more wire do we need? I think that's enough. Great. Now, Che. What's up, little P? I found your chair. Ah, thank you. Sits on a box. So, this whole thing. Surely it's not legal, yeah? Maddie wasn't clear on that. Yeah, the council found it confronting. For a good reason, I suppose. Because it utterly upsets the natural order. Mate, it's not just bureaucracy. Shush you. Most rules can be bent, after all. Sigh. And Maddie has a particular fascination with breaking rules, as I'm sure you've realized. Hey, don't give her all the credit. Bah. Is this related to her gambling for time? Mm-hmm. So, the transfer was the same sort of magic we're doing now, yes. Small scale, though. Doing it on a larger scale requires a bit more preparation. The council successfully suppressed all available information about it, though. For good reason! What happens if something goes wrong? Well, you don't tend to mess it up more than once. Or try it again after you fail, for that matter. Stubborn scholars, notwithstanding. What do you even call this sort of magic, then? Oh, the light bulb burned out. That's not ominous at all. Question's irrelevant. Because it's banned. Extremely cool. That's what I call it. Well, by definition, it's a conduit ritual. But hey, we're among friends, so we can call it what it really is. Necromancy. Yeah, metal. I gotta listen to some Cannibal Corpse. Oh, I played through the prologue. Nice. Hey, easy achievements. Gotta love it. Good old serotonin boost. From your hazy memories, a certain word calls out to you. Necromancy. You tried desperately to remember what it meant. Necromancy. And read this time. Oh, I can click on it. Ah! Death comes for us all. This fragment of a memory stays with you. Piece together the past. Remember what transpired. And never forget, you are scattered, practice, bureaucratic fascination, forbidden, disheveled, messy, detective, blender, storm, blah, 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 blah. Too much. Information overload. It's a rainy night. What if we contrarian I go in the opposite direction? What happens? I can't go any further. Alright, fair enough. a real knob, it's just painted on the door. Oh, this place looks fun. What's this? Press and hold to inspect the memory. Terminal house rules. Maddie's rules. 1. We welcome both living and dead. Patrons will be served in the order they arrived. 2. Don't ask who's alive. This is very time of Eve now that I think about it. I like that. It's rude. If someone wants you to know, they'll tell you. 3. The dead have 24 hours to spend within the premises before moving on. Strictly enforced. 4. No, we don't have Wi-Fi. 5. Report broken items and other anomalies to staff. We can't clean up your broken glass or spatial rift if we don't know about it. 6. Don't feed the Eidolons. They can't eat, and offering them food just reminds them of that cruel fact. I like this game already. Can I go anywhere else? Nope. It's too dark over here. Let's go back in the light. I don't know if I want to go over there just yet. Alright. Come on. You can do it. The box isn't too heavy. I believe in you. Part 1. Espresso. The terminal. Carlton, Victoria. Oh, this isn't Australia then. Australia 3053. Excerpts from online reviews. Pretty unremarkable coffee. Barista speaks Chinese but exclusively uses it to mock people to their faces. I am very self-conscious about my top hat now. Observed little girl running around cafe with knife, unsupervised. Came down with deep sense of ennui after visiting. Was rudely told to, quote, stop being a big dweebus, unquote, after complaining about burnt taste in coffee. This coffee is somehow the best I've ever had. 5 stars. Disclosure, I have no taste buds. The door closes. I guess that's what we look like. Hey, mate, you right? Ack. I like the art design in this game. It's good. You can see me. It's got a nice, like, the lighting's really nice. There's good, I like the cell shaded quality to the character designs. It's very pretty. Clear as day, yeah. What can I get you? I've been walking around for hours. Or maybe it just felt like hours. It can be hard to judge time when you're wandering around aimlessly. Nobody was talking to me. I don't even know how I got in here. I think you'll find it was via the front door. Huh. Okay. Excuse me. Right. Where am I? This, dearly departed, is the terminal. Carlton's finest. Departed? Well, those coffee prices aren't bad, actually. Not terrible. They say our coffee's to die for. Aw, poor dude's having an existential crisis, what with the being dead and all. So, I don't really know how to go about this. Ask me anything, man. You're not the first disheveled dead guy to drop in, and I'm sure you won't be the last. This guy has a look of someone who's been through a lot. What does everyone else ask? They generally ask, what does everyone else ask? Ah, shit. And they always say that. Ellipses. Smaller ellipses. Then there's the embarrassed silence. Maddie's normally one to enjoy peace and quiet, but sometimes silences are just awkward. Alright. I get it. You make a habit of bullying everyone who comes through, or just the pitiful ones? It's almost exclusively the latter. I guess that's consistent. Always felt like people saw me as a pitiful guy. Sorry, I was just kidding there. No, you're right. I'm a fucking sad sack. Boss hated me, family hated me, work sucked. Just like everything else about me. Now I'm never even gonna have a chance to make things better for myself. That's it. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. Hey, come on. And I'm sitting in a cafe for dead people falling apart in front of a barista. Mate, pull it together. Number 1 rule. No breakdowns in the cafe, please. I promise, man, you are okay. I know how it is. Are you dead? No, I don't know if you read the rules outside, but God, I did. Yes, can't even get that right. In that case, you'll have also read that you have 24 hours left before you gotta move on to the next place. And I don't think you want to spend them having one big, long, extended panic attack. 24 hours? Ah, shit. What I'm saying is, everything's okay. Just take some deep breaths. We'll sort this out. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a fuss. Cafe's empty. It's not like I've got anything else going on. Don't worry about it. Almond milk for 70 cents. Are you sure? I'm kind of a burden. You're not. Promise. Chin up, mate. Let me tell you about the building. I've got some cool history. So the first time I came here was about 4 years ago. And that's why you should never, ever serve a martini to a dead biker, even if he specifically asks for one. Huh. Out of all the possible ways to react to that, that's one I certainly didn't expect. Yeah, no point in seeking eternal vengeance if you're gonna have to leave in a few hours anyways. Kinda strips it of meaning, you know? There's no way to tell whether you even care once you cross over. But then again, maybe I'm just being a buzzkill about it. Shouldn't go around policing people's reactions to things. I'm still wrapping my head around all this. Death, that is. Feels weird to say it, doesn't it? Weird. Yeah, that's the word. So you said most people don't ever find out how they die before they pass? Even if they got murdered or something? Yep. Most people don't die from murder. It's mostly sickness, or old age, or lawnmower accidents. Well, they call them accidents, but really loads of lawnmowers are possessed by evil spirits. That said... Alright, hold on just a moment. You can't just drop that and move on. Possessed lawnmowers? Seriously? Anything with spinning blades attracts them. Garden equipment, blenders, power saws. People scoff at the idea of a robot uprising, like we haven't spent decades arming our machines with blades. They're a real pain in the arse. Gotta do at least 1 or 2 exorcisms a month on the coffee grinder. That's wild. So, I know I'm breaking the rules again, but how many people in here are dead? Yeah, it's a cafe for dead people. Does that mean it's everyone? Or are some of these people just really into ghost cafes? A little column A, a little column B. Plenty of mortals come through. But this is one of the only crossing points in the country, so we get a lot of your type. It's also why the rent is so high. Landlords, the original rent seekers. Because those vampires who own the place know we get a lot of foot traffic. Literal vampires? No, like boomers. Landlord class. Same thing I guess. So to answer your question, here are 9 customers in here right now. Out of those 9, yourself included, I'd say 4 or 5 of them are just passing through on their way to the next place. How can you tell? Once you've worked here for a while, you get sort of a 6th sense for this kind of thing. What is coffee talk about? Do tell. Gotcha. Speaking of sixth senses, I've got one for trouble. You have 2 sixth senses? Hello, Ashley. Oh, she's short. Ashley had adopted the cafe staff a couple years back, much in the same way a puppy adopts a squeaky toy. The long, short story. So says Jackson. I shall have to check that out. She was the kind of ferociously smart kid who absorbed information like a sponge, but only used it to cause trouble. Today, she was accompanied by the stench of motor oil and brought with her a look that said, "I'm an invincible genius." Ashley had fancied herself a genius ever since the day that Maddie invited her to become a spunky sidekick. She was mostly right about that one. Alright, I know that look. Spit it out. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Got the crap, kid. What are you after? I'm busy dealing with a customer. I'm not really needing any attention. Shut up, Kashan. I need an extra pair of hands, and none of my Ashlings are around to help. Oh, quick pause from Jackson. Marketing copy. Coffee Talk is a coffee brewing and heart-to-heart talking simulator about listening to fantasy-inspired modern people's problems and helping them by serving up a warm drink or two. I think I heard about this now that I'm reading this description. This sounds familiar. Have you played it by any chance, or is it just on your extremely long list of games you have purchased and not yet played? Don't you have any clamps? We got a bunch for your birthday last month. Aging a year just means you're 1 year closer to death. An odd thing to celebrate. They're all being used for other very important things. They were not. Pretty sure I saw one on a table upstairs earlier. No, I really need a helper. Ashley, I'm busy. Bleep. Oh, okay. All right, now I'm getting a sense of the kind of game you're thinking. As in, you haven't played anything in that bundle, or as in you have put a lot of time into Valhalla and Monster Prom and not Coffee Talk? Hey, I could probably ease. I could. Poor Coffee Talk, outdone by other games. I'm sorry for those of you who are not reading the chat in the video right now. This must sound very confusing. Anyways, I could... Come on, Ashley, you've got to let us work. I'm not going to get anything done down here if I have to keep going upstairs to find the screwdrivers you've misplaced. Trying to improve a screwdriver is a good way to end up with stripped screws. Use the right tool for the job. Sorry, trying to improvise a screwdriver. But hey, no dice. What about Che? He can help me. What about he's emptying the dishwasher? Sound familiar? It should, because I told you to do it an hour ago. Uh-oh. Hey. It's really no trouble. Oh, why don't I take this guy? Only thing he's busy with is being dead. Hey, come on. Ashley, I'm not going to argue with you about this. I'm sure he would rather relax than be bossed around. Also, manners. We talked about this. You've got to be more respectful in front of customers. Please. I'm happy to go upstairs. Really, it's fine. Home. I don't have anything else going on, and I'm super dead. I'm cool with it. I'm Kashan, very dead guy. Happy to help. You sure? I can just send her back upstairs. Promise, it's fine. I just sit around and be a pain otherwise. Perfect. Oh, this smile says nothing good is going to come of any of this. Come on, come, peon. In follower hierarchy, peons are 1 level below assistant, 1 level above minion. More of a goon man myself. I even have a shirt for the occasion. We've got work to do. Ashley wasn't getting enough attention. But with Maddie's newfound responsibilities, some sacrifices had to be made. That meant the kid would just have to occupy herself more often than not. She still feels guilty as hell about it, and, I reckon this place needs more plants. Jesus Christ, Che. You gotta give me a heart attack, you old bastard. What's on your mind? Head in the clouds, as per usual. Did I look like I was thinking weighty thoughts? Excruciatingly so. What's going on? Nothing important, just my resting bitch face. Nope. This one's different. How so? Your facial expression is reminding me of that time you tried to fistfight that cosplayer. Cosplay is short for costume play, and bad things can happen when play suddenly becomes serious business. Oh, the samurai? The one who barged in, waving his gift store katana around and demanding satisfaction after I refused to put 15 shots in his coffee? Weirdly specific. What's it look like? Looks like you just got threatened with 1,000-fold Nippon steel. It's a precious memory, so I remember it very clearly. A mix of deep disgust. People with high disgust sensitivity seldom do well in a kitchen environment. Somehow, Maddie manages. A whole bunch of derision and a tiny pinch of pity. Yep, that's me. What a mood. So many books up there. What a nice coffee shop. You alright, though? Real talk. I'm fine. I'm actually fine, or let's not talk about it fine. The second one. Pharaoh. Offer's still open if you like to talk things out. In the meantime, sorry. Can I grab that tea towel? My hands are wet. Oh, yeah, here you go. So, did the dishes need hand washing, or... Excuse me. I'm sure I told Ashley to empty the dishwasher earlier. Nah, that thing's busted. Door latch won't close. Might call the repairman. Ashley shouldn't wash him by hand anyway. Her arm would corrode, so I did it. Not a problem. Yeah, fair enough. So like I mentioned, it'll need a repair unless you want to let Ashley do it. Some people remain stubbornly defiant in the face of planned obsolescence. Replacements are for quitters. I'd call the repairman myself, but our landline stopped working last week. We have a landline? Yes. Ancient technology, and an elegant tool for a less civilized age. Only works when you pay the bill, though. I don't know if it'd be cheaper to get it repaired, or just buy a new one and give Ashley the old one for parts. The costs are pretty close, all things considered. Sigh. Hey, don't work too hard. You'll worry yourself into an early grave. Hey, you spent 50 years digging holes. If you want to see a lot of Earth, you can become a globetrotter, or you can pick up a shovel. Haha. That sounds pretty tough. Sounds like pretty tough work, old man. Ow, old man. For your information, I'm barely 170-ish. I'm failing to see the inaccuracy. It was during a literal gold rush. Everyone was doing it. Only thing different about me is that I eventually started digging up things more interesting than gold. Only kind of gold I'm interested in is brown gold. Coffee. Shut up. Hey. So... I know it's just another stress on the stress pile, but I think we need to put in an order for more kitchenware soon. Ugh. Yeah, another thing that costs money. We're beginning to run out of cutlery, though. Summary of Offenses Act 1988, Section 11C. A person must not, without reasonable excuse, proof of which lies on the person, have in his or her custody a knife in a public place or a school. It keeps disappearing, not sure where. Don't know how long we can wait before we get more. Don't know if we can afford that this month. Just, everything's a bit too pricey right now. Doesn't help that coffee cartels keep pushing prices up. I don't think the importer is part of a cartel. They're quite nice. I've seen photos of their kids. You ever spoken to them? They're obviously criminals with the prices they charge. The worst kinds of criminals are the kind who operate within the bounds of legality. That's a good point. Wholesale, my arse. And yet, we keep buying from them. Well, yeah, the beans are good, man. It's just everything else on top of them that's stressing me out. Ah, yes. I'll happily accept the blame for some of that. It's fine. You don't have to. I know it's all on me. I've just got to figure out how to pay everything off. Everything and everyone. The shitty council of death and the doubly shitty time debt we owe them are the last thing I want to think about right now. I've lost enough sleep over it already. Hey, I'm here to help. I'm worried about you, you know? You've had a lot of responsibility dropped on you in a very short period of time. Maddie's been saddled with great responsibility. She's still waiting for the great power that's supposed to come with it. And I can't help but feel a little bit culpable for that. I know. Yeah, I know. And you... I can't thank you enough. Sniff. Shh. It's alright. Hold yourself together. We'll figure it out as a team, just like we always have. I just don't want to deal with it, you know? I get it. And I don't want you to feel like I'm imposing or interfering too much. I know the cafe's yours now. And even though things are a little bit much at the moment, I know I keep saying this, Maddie, but I don't know how much time we have to deal with all of this before things start falling apart. Things are already falling apart. But you're going to have to face reality at some point. You know that, right? Jay, oh my god, yes, I know. I don't need any more reminders from you. Back off, man. The council's always on my mind. I can't escape them. My best is all I can do, okay? Just because you're my best friend and my old boss and my mentor doesn't mean I need you preaching to me about how I need to deal with my problems. Because they're my problems now, not yours. Alright, no worries. I'll just give you some space. Might go check on Ashley. You seen her recently? She's upstairs. Dragged a customer up there, talking about clamps or something. I better go rescue them then. Be back in a bit. Ellipses. Shit, he's right, isn't he? We really could use some more plants. So we're gonna strap a big old steak knife to it and make them fight each other. I love it. This is gonna be great. I want to build something that gets put on that TV show, Row Battle Royale, with flamethrowers on it. You're not gonna put one on this little guy, are you? A flamethrower? Probably not. But I want you to record the fight on my phone so we can send it to the producers. Producers have a real thirst for schlock. It's true. Coincidentally, I also have a real thirst for schlock. Ask me about my favorite movies sometime. You'll see. Yeah, sure thing. Let's get this knife attached. Pass me those zip ties. Zip ties. And the knife. Knife. And my coffee. Are you sure? Who even gave you that? Coffee! Damn it. It's empty. My coffee is empty, Kashan. The world is beginning to vibrate. Maybe it's good that your cup runneth empty, yeah? I think my cup needs to runneth with more espresso soon. How many shots did you put in there? Too many, Kashan! But did anyone ask Icarus how many shots of espresso he had? Yeah, I'm reading a book about Icarus. Imagine being dataless and watching your son die doing the exact thing you told him not to do. He flew to the sun. I'm culture. I like this girl. She's good. In unrelated news, I have a headache. I think you might want to read a little more about Icarus. There's a twist ending to that one. I'm holding a knife. I'm holding a knife, Kashan. No spoilers. No spoilers. Promise. Gulp. Alright, Che. Just say hi. Try not to get a knife slung at you this time. You got this. Ahem. Hey, kids! Intruder! Oh! Kashan. My buddy. My pal. Did I get him? No. You missed. Damn it. But, wait. You threw it on purpose? Extremely on purpose, yes. I'm fine, by the way. Oh, it's just you. Would it have been worse if it was someone else? Ellipses. Probably. Unless they were actually an actual spy come to steal my robot designs. You never know who might be watching. then it would have been good. Ellipses. Hey, I think I'm crashing. Oh no. Is she okay? Did I kill her? She'll wake up in about 15 minutes with no ill effects. But you probably shouldn't give her any more coffee. She turns into a real goblin. Not to be confused with the days where she's just a regular gremlin. She's just a regular gremlin. Oh, she told me that it'd make her, quote, immeasurably powerful, unquote. I mean, she's not wrong, but, you know, great power, great responsibility, yada, yada, yada. She's 13. Kid's got plenty of energy already. Maybe not the sense of responsibility, though. Yeah, I don't even know how I ended up sitting here attaching knives to robots. She's very convincing? Ashley's persuasiveness is a mystery. It clearly can't be logic, eloquence, or charisma that causes people to do her bidding. Excuse me. You don't have to tell me, mate. She basically lives here. Her parents would kill me if they found out she nearly killed me. Pretty good blind throw, though. She makes me proud in the weirdest ways. Huh. Did she learn from the best? She did, but the best definitely wasn't me. Maddie's pretty deadly with knives. Loves her flashy tricks. Bad habit, probably. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm being very rude. My name's Che. I used to own this place. Now I just sort of sit around and cause trouble and sometimes have knives thrown at me, I guess. I'm Kashan, and I died today. Ooh, achievement unlocked. Welcome to the terminal. Ooh, robots, my favorite. I'm alive. I'm alive. Oof, we got a loud one here. Be nice. You know it's scary waking up. Big lights coming towards me. I think it's reliving its last moments. Looks like it. Ellipses. What is happening? Hello. Ellipses. I do not remember having this many limbs. Join the club, pal. We are reborn in a new image. I see. I'm Kepler. Nice to meet ya. And I am Jacoby. I am undefined. I don't know if that name will stick. Its body is made of a milk carton. Should we just call it milk? No, too basic. Imagine if you called me Goon just because I'm made of a goon box. I wouldn't like that at all. Ashley was yelling about someone called Lovelace the other day. That's a good one, I think. How does our new friend feel about it? Acceptable. Excellent. Nice to meet you, Lovelace. Walking, yes indeed, and I'm talking. Some oldies for you. Look at you, turning into a responsible human being. During intermissions at the end of episodes, you can freely explore the terminal. Memories are scattered throughout the terminal that delve into the tales of its patrons. More locations and memories become available as you progress through the main story. Alright. Thinking about alchemy the wrong way. Highlighted passages from Thinking About Alchemy the Wrong Way by Sofia Cordova. Most study of alchemy throughout history can be categorized as either practical alchemy, that is, alchemy which aims to understand the world only as well as it needs to fulfill certain utilitarian ends, and philosophical alchemy, that is, alchemy which aims to come to a more complete understanding of the world as it is without prejudice, for which portions of alchemic understanding can be wielded to utilitarian ends. In the modern alchemy movement, there has been a tendency within literature to place a greater emphasis on philosophical alchemy, based on the premise that coming to a more complete and correct understanding of the universe is the best way for us to discover more practical methods for the physical use of alchemy. Much of this is based in the modern scientific movement and the post-Enlightenment era. Much like our understanding of theoretical physics gives us more accurate models of physical reality, which have better real applications in engineering, having a better understanding of alchemy on a philosophical level informs our practice of alchemy. However, it may be that this focus on alchemy, which places an emphasis on being correct rather than useful, has thrown out the baby with the bathwater. Admittedly, my position here is hardly biased. The fact that practical studies of alchemy have largely been chased underground is the reason that the tome you're reading is self-published rather than distributed through more official channels. Ellipses. For example, underappreciated in the development of modern alchemic practices is the use of a 5-element model. Early pre-Aristotelian alchemic models were based on an understanding of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Later, Aristotelian alchemic models separate elements into 4 categories of earth, water, air, and fire. That's almost a good band. While this model may be more accurate and reflect on an evolution of our understanding of alchemy, it seems to sacrifice the more practical separation of elements in a way that better allows us to understand less tangible things. While wood is not an element strictly speaking, it helps for us to think of it as such. After all, juxtaposing wood against elements such as metal and fire makes it apparent that wood possesses certain soul-like qualities that other elements lack, which might prompt us to question what it is about the wood that makes it seem to behave like a super-element, with practical uses beyond the conventional. There is a great irony in the fact that while these kinds of questions eventually led us to discard the 5-element model, the new model no longer allows for the existence in this sort of question to exist in academic literature. This book serves as my guide to asking the wrong questions to arrive at the wrong answers that nonetheless seem to work. It is a book for troublemakers and rule breakers. Indeed, the fact that you hold this book in your hands right now is probably evidence that you have broken several rules to acquire it. That, or you are a rule enforcer tasked with destroying my work, who for some reason has decided to take the time to read it. Perhaps you are reading my work in search of identifying information which might lead you to my location, or you are reading to gain a better understanding of someone for whom you consider to be an enemy. Perhaps after reading my work, you will realize that my ideas are not so dangerous as you've been to believe, or perhaps you will realize that they're exactly as dangerous as you've been told. That's it. That was fun. Vaguely accurate, I think, to how alchemy as a quote-unquote science is supposed to work, so that's fun. Ooh, let's see. Alright, what's this? Food. Authentic Australian lamingtons. Ingredients: 200 grams of butter, 1 cup of castor sugar, 5 milliliters of vanilla extract, 3 Malleefowl eggs, 500 grams self-raising flour, sifted, half a cup of milk, 2 cups of shredded coconut, icing, 4 teaspoons sugar mixed and dissolved in water, half a cup of quarter cup of cocoa powder, 100 grams of butter, half a cup of water. You'll also need convection oven, lamington pan 3 centimeters deep, 20 by 30 centimeters base, baking paper, an electric mixer, a lamington. Possible substitutions: chicken eggs can be used in place of Malleefowl eggs. If electricity is not available, whale oil mixtures can be used instead. It is strongly hypothesized that a homunculus made with lamington DNA could be used in lieu of an actual lamington, but no confirmed tests have been confirmed due to the lack of success in producing actual homunculi, especially homunculi capable of baking. Instructions: grease lamington pan, line with baking paper. Use electric mixer, beat butter, vanilla, and sugar until airy. Add eggs to mixture. Have your lamington stir flour into mixture and add milk. Have lamington pour into pan and smooth. At this point, you may dismiss your lamington. They are no longer needed. Bake for 30 minutes. Make icing. Boil water and combine ingredients. Beat until smooth. Apply icing coating 1 millimeter thick and sprinkle coconut. Repeat until all icing and coconut have been used. Note that it is not necessary to have a lamington perform this step. Tips for procuring a lamington. Any recently departed Lamington who comes in contact with a 40-60 mixture of vanilla and coconut will begin to glow red. Note that a 30-70 vanilla coconut mixture will cause them to glow green. The 30-70 mixture can be useful in case of potential Lamingtons who have particularly flushed cheeks or are otherwise difficult to identify by a red glow. This is generally discouraged as the effect can persist for several hours and can often be unsettling to guests. Only around 20% of people who claim to have Lamingtons have actual Lamington ancestry, hence the need to test potential candidates. Be particularly skeptical of anyone who claims to be directly descended from either a Lord or Lady Lamington. Lamington pretenders uniformly claim to be descended from a former lord, leading to the overwhelming of these claimants being false positives. Most Lamingtons were agricultural workers, so anyone claiming to be a descendant from a farmer of Lamington is more likely to be credible, but should still be tested to verify authenticity. Do not bother testing anyone claiming to be descended from the third Baron of Lamington, as Victor Alexander Brisbane William Cochrane Bale died childless. Gluten-free option, ? Have a Lamington stir self-raising flour into the mixture is critical to the synthesis process and will not work with a non-gluten alternative. That feeling when no gluten-free option, frowny face. This game is interesting. I like this. Let's see, what else is there to explore with? Oh, it's different outside. It's just brighter now. Maddie was about to leave the counter when an old-looking man pushed the door open. He was hunched over and he walked with a bit of a limp, and even at this distance she could see the leathery texture of his skin, a testament to many years well lived. Maddie had been about to leave the counter to Che, but there was something in the way the old man walked that made her want to stay long enough to see if he had any special requests. She wasn't sure if she would like the man, and in fact she was fairly sure there was a good chance that she wouldn't have much to say to the man, or much that she would be interested in hearing from him. But it was obvious that the man had paid his dues, and she felt she owed him at least a few moments of her time. Even if he hadn't done anything in his life worth of admiration, he had at least done enough to earn her respect. It was only when the man sat down that Mandy saw that his skin was cracked, but not wrinkled. His body had been aged, but had been aged by the elements and the sun more than had been aged by the passage of time. The slight limp in his step could have easily been the limp of a young man who had spent one day too many lifting loads that were 1 kilo too heavy for him. He took the seat directly in front of her. "You serve food here?" Apparently the man was more interested in finding out what was to offer than figuring out where he was. Maddie kept herself from visibly smirking. There was something she liked about the guests like that, people whose only question was what was on tap. Maddie glanced at Che. He gave a nod of assent. Yes, Che was willing to play the role of grill master today. "We do serve food," she said. The man squinted up at the menu above him. "My eyes don't work too well in this light," he said. "Got a paper menu?" Maddie reached under the counter and pulled out a menu that looked just as aged as the man sitting in front of her. Its scars were from coffee stains, not cuts, but as watched the man hold the menu, there was something about the combination of the two of them that felt right to her. The man stared at the menu for a good deal longer than it must have taken him to read everything on it. He finally spoke after a long considered pause. "Do you suppose it would be a problem if I were to order something if I didn't intend to actually eat it?" "That's not the kind of thing that would offend me," said Maddie. Actually, it was the exact kind of thing that would offend her. Yet there was something in the way the old man asked that made her feel like whatever reason he might have for not eating food he served, it would be a good one, and she was half interested to find out what the man's reaction would be. "I'll have the grilled halibut," he said. "Ah, halibut," said Maddie. She understood. Most people enjoyed the concept of grilled fish more than they liked it in practice, and this man knew himself well enough to be upfront and honest about that. She could respect that. "I can't promise that it's never been frozen." "I hope that's not a problem," she said. Sure it wouldn't be. "Sounds like my kind of fish," said the man. "The best halibut swim in cold water. Ain't a problem if that water happens to be in solid form after the halibut passes." She nodded to Che, who nodded back and headed to the freezer. The man placed both of his hands on the counter and folded them. There was something serene in the way that man sat there, with no inclination to glance around and inspect the cafe he was in, no nervous movement in his legs, no strained expression on his face to express that he was waiting for something to happen. He looked so calm that Maddie almost didn't want to disturb him, but she chafed at the idea that only squeaky wheels were deserving of grease. Sometimes wheels were just too polite to ask. Do you want a drink while you're waiting on that? I don't think I need a drink, said the man. All right, said Maddie, picking up a whiskey bottle and placing it in his field of view, a reminder that he was free to ask for. The man squinted. Is that Jack Daniels? Indeed it is, said Maddie. The man's shoulders rose a bit in what looked like barely a chuckle. Got a fondness for that particular drink? It's just that we share the same name, said the man. I'm Jack Daniel. No relation to the distiller, I had several friends who took it upon themselves to check. As you might imagine, I've seen a lot of those bottles over the years. It's the kind of gift that people enjoy giving you when you have a name like that. Is it a gift you enjoyed receiving? It's always a pleasure to receive a gift, said Jack. It's nice to know that you have friends who care about you and think about you. Is it a gift you enjoyed consuming? I had a shelf in my flat where I collected them, waiting for other people to come so I have an excuse to open them. Ah, said Maddie, picking up the bottle and placing it below the counter. Sorry if I brought up a bad memory. He laughed. Where's the bad memory? They're good to receive from friends and good to share with friends. It's a reminder of the people who I was close to and the things I did with them. No need to apologize for that. Maddie smiled. She was beginning to find that she liked Jack, and it seemed like Jack was the kind of person who liked her, if for no other reason than that he liked people. And Maddie was people. She chuckled with him, and she enjoyed that chuckle so much she almost missed Jack's momentary sideways glance, an unguarded moment when his mind seemed to be on something other than what he was talking about. It was only an instant, but it was a flicker of pain that she learned to recognize over the years. There was something in him that was hurting, even as he remembered his friends. A sense of loss, a regret about something left unsaid. Maddie wasn't sure. Whatever it was none of her business. But she wanted it to be her business. Well, anything you want, just ask, said Maddie. Cup of water, warm glass of milk. Warm glass of milk? How old do you think I am? Maddie shrugged. 5 or 6, just the right age to drink a tall glass of milk before being shooed off to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm just barely older, said Jack. But if I do want that glass of milk, guess I know who to ask. That was fun. Okay, go outside to wherever that is. Painting of roads. Crucible product reviews. Spirit-resistant quartz crucibles with self-sealing lids. Product description. Heat-resistant up to 1,650 degrees Celsius. I don't know my Celsius, but that sounds hot. Self-sealing lids with airtight seals around the crucible's ground rim. Highly resistant to corruption and spiritual interference. Clear inner and outer coverings allow for easy spotting of cracks or imperfections. Quality suitable for mixing potions and filtres. Average rating, 3.5 stars out of 5. Product reviews, 5 out of 5. I love this! The covering, despite being quartz, has a textured appearance that gives it a silky smooth feel to it. Most crucibles feel sterile and cold, but this one makes for a perfect beverage container while entertaining guests. 4 out of 5. The previous crucible set I used was inherited from my grandmother, who bought them over from New England. Unfortunately, 2 months at sea were not kind to her spiritware, and her crucibles were filled with tiny cracks and microfractures that allowed unsightly-looking soot to build up, leaving them stained with hard gray lines everywhere, looking like they were about to crack apart at any moment. She used them for several decades to come, but every time I worked with her and watched them heat up, I was afraid they were constantly on the verge of shattering. One she used to contain a lost wayward spirit for several days before finding a home for it, and I would get up at night to check the embers under the crucible, and it always unsettled me seeing how fragile the container was. Several times I found myself tempted to tip the crucible over it just to see how easily it would shatter under my soft touch. Needless to say, this new set is much nicer. They are sterile, and I can keep several of them in my bedroom without feeling unsettled by their presence. 2 of the crucibles in my ship arrived with small chips in them, but I contacted the manufacturer, and they have replaced them at no charge. The replacements were express shipped, and the process was quick and painless, so great customer service, and they offered replacements up to 1 year. For the price, they can't be beat. 4 out of 5. Owned mine for 2 weeks and it didn't crack. Decent for the price. 5 out of 5. Received mine in the mail this morning and can't wait to try it out. So glad to have finally found someone selling crucibles at a reasonable price A brand name one costs just over $200, which is just outrageous. 1 out of 5. Bought this several weeks ago since it was the cheapest crucible on the site, advertised as spirit resistant. I'm working on a field tree for my graduate thesis and purchased 100 of these for lab use. My plan was to monitor 100 different animal spirits over with different types of plant matter and compare how different biomaterials affected their vigor over a 90-day period. According to Jackson, who knows Celsius better than I do, it is hot! Thank you, Jackson. The first day, I set the first 5 with samples of mugroot, feverfew, ginger, ginseng, and golden seal. This is like how my old boss would write a product review. Just endless backstory detail that no one needs to know to get to the point. I placed them in the crucible over low heat, 80 degrees Celsius, and left them overnight, and over the next 2 days did the same thing with all the remaining crucibles, finishing on a Friday and leaving the lab alone for the weekend. When I arrived back on Monday, I knew something was wrong when I noticed a rain cloud hovering over the door. It's not uncommon for rain clouds to appear at any time of year at any time of day in our part of the country, but it's quite another to find a rain cloud localized entirely within the hallway of your research lab. Steam times, anyone? I braced for the worst, but I guess I should have braced harder. Nothing could have prepared me for the smell when I opened the door. I immediately felt my eyes watering and actually found myself choking. It smelled so bad. I slammed the door shut and went to the basement to grab one of the emergency respirators we keep down there. Unfortunately, the respirator did little to mask the terrible stench inside of the lab. I opened the first crucible and saw that it was filled with a tar-like substance, and as I studied its inky black writhing form, I felt the air sucked out of me, almost like it was trying to drag me into the abyss with it. I threw it onto the floor and the container shattered, splattering the floor with tar-like substance, which began slowly crawling across the room. I grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and sprayed the tar until it was completely covered, and heard what sounded like sputtering noises followed by a long gasp and a scream that faded into oblivion. After poking the fire extinguisher spray, whatever was underneath was clearly quenched. I took the remaining crucibles and placed them in the oven and baked them at a temperature of 1600 degrees. For several hours, I sat alone in the lab, contemplating the cruelty of existence and wondering what my academic advisor would have to say about my thesis project. After several hours of waiting, I opened the oven and checked the contents of the crucibles, revealing nothing but ash. Whatever it was that had been drawn by the spiritual missions my lab work, it was gone from my world, but the memory of that day will haunt me for all the remaining days of my life. 1 out of 5. Do not buy the crucible for spirit-related applications. My wife is one of the product designers who worked on this item. The crucible in this listing comes from a manufacturer called Mars Security LLC. Back in 2013, they were some of the best hardware you could get for your money and earned a reputation among hobbyists as a great value for anyone working on a budget. In 2016, they did a survey and found that fewer than 3% of buyers were actually using crucibles for spirit-related applications and decided they could cut costs by removing the spirit-resistant properties. However, they found the products advertised with updated ad copy to reflect this didn't sell well, so they continued as the old product description, which advertises it as spirit-resistant, with the new product line, which is not spirit-resistant. I don't know how they are getting away with this. Apparently, the definitions of what is actually spirit-resistant are legally murky, and the number of people affected is small enough that they continue to sell well. Stay far, far away from this one, and warn anyone you know who might buy an item like this that it does not work as advertised. 5 out of 5. Nice color. Sounds about right. What does this thing look like? Let's see. I'll continue eventually, but I want to poke around some more. Let's see what's happening. What's happening? Is there anything upstairs? Oh, there's a robot. Ashley's Journal 1. Battle Royale Robot Power Rankings. Windlass. When I first saw the name of the spot, I thought it was styled to be like a girl who could run controlling storms and run like a ninja and a real lass of the wind. Or maybe a girl of the elements, someone with the ability to become the wind herself. If I were a windlass, I would vanish in an instant whenever Maddie appeared. She would look around and say, "Where's Ashley?" And I would be right there, but she wouldn't notice because I would be one with the wind. And then when she left, I would fade back into the room, like a ninja. This would only work outside and in rooms that were really breezy, so I would probably set up fans in the workshop to make it really drafty. Then I looked it up online and learned that windlass is actually a fancy name for a winch used to pull anchors up, which at first made me think this bot was lame. It works by hooking its arms under enemy bots and pulling it up to flip them over. It never even tries to smash the other bot to bits or melt it with fire. Then I watched in action and realized that flipping your enemy onto their back to incapacitate them is the ultimate ninja move. Windlass moves like a master, spending the entire match trying to bait its opponent into exposing its weakness. Then, like a ninja master that knows how to jab at exactly the right pressure point on the back of the neck to make her enemy's head explode, Windlass grabs the enemy bot by the one part of it that happens to be sticking out at the wrong time and flips it onto its back. Note, most bots only have wheels or legs on the bottom, not on the top, so when you flip them over, they are totally helpless when the match is over. To avoid this happening, make sure to put wheels on top as well. When I make a bot like Windlass, I'm going to call it Badass, because that's what it is. I like this game. This is fun. Let's see, are there any robots down here I missed? No. Alright. Let's go up the stairs. What's upstairs? Oh, blocked off. Boo. Alright, well, I guess it's time to... Let's see. Hello. Alright, apparently we have 9 scenes to go. We've done the preface and another one. I feel like... Can I save? Not yet, apparently. Alright, let's go here and see if we can save. Start the next one. Man, I'd love to see that. I could use a pick-me-up. I can't promise it'll be there. It's kind of inconsistent. Still though, a hallway that's only there sometimes? How do you get to the kitchen otherwise? There's another slightly longer one that we use instead. It's much less exciting. But on the upside, it's consistently there. I love telling new people about it though. The reaction's always hilarious. I definitely didn't expect to be getting enthusiastic over a weird quantum hallway. When people start getting nervous about magic, they usually start trying to explain it using science terms to reassure themselves. Or enthusiastic at all, actually, because as soon as I stop thinking about it, I realize I'm actually extremely messed up about this. Oh, she's reading a book of some variety. I understand. Your life has gotten very weird very fast, conceptually speaking. Or, your own life? I should be better about talking about this by now, shouldn't I? Geez, that's not a fun one to think about, huh? Just keep talking about the hallway so I can keep my mind off this. To be honest, I'm not sure I could even properly explain a lot of what goes on in here. The building's mildly sentient, too much magic in the soil for it not to be really. So the cafe's alive? Not necessarily. Plenty of things have come to life here, but as far as we can tell, the building itself doesn't really fall into that category. Also, it mostly tends to shift itself in ways that are helpful instead of frustrating, so quantum hallways. I'm making myself a cuppa. Australian vernacular for cup of tea. An important cultural institution, especially when drunk in the afternoon. You want something? Nah, I'm good for now. Also, what's the barista's name? I didn't actually catch it and I feel like a jerk. Ah, Maddie? She's the owner now. Not just the barista. Still makes coffee, of course. But since she's the owner now, she has a lot more to juggle. Why are you asking? Got your eye on her? Eh? No. I have a boyfriend. Had? Oh geez, this is a lot. I can't imagine how he's feeling. Try not to think about it. Okay. Yep. Okay. You want that drink now? I think I want something a little more potent than coffee right now. Sorry. Don't enable him, Kashan. Shush. I can get you something stronger, mate. Shot of whiskey, perhaps? A neat bourbon will always be the perfect mix of classy, yet unpretentious. I thought this was a cafe. Well, it is. Mostly. We do serve alcohol, though. And stronger things on request. Stronger? Like what? A Baijiu? Beiju? I don't know what that is. Absinthe? Pure ethanol? You think a place like this wouldn't have anything stronger than that? Stronger than pure ethanol? For those of you at home that don't recall, ethanol is the alcohol you're not supposed to drink because it'll make you blind. Don't drink that. Sure, remind me later and I might pull out some of my special reserve. Don't enable him, Gashan. Hey, someone's gotta drink it. I know you're not gonna touch the stuff aside from setting it on fire. Excuse me, I have perfectly good reasons for wanting to set a puddle of distilled soul on fire. Ellipses. We'll agree to disagree on that one. So, Kashan, what'll it be? Actually, I changed my mind on the coffee. Can I order something complex? Gotta treat myself on my last day on Earth. I'm after a sugar rush. If we have the ingredients, it shouldn't be an issue. Jackson is correct. Ethanol is the one they put in cars, so don't drink that. It'll turn you blind. Maddie, can I whip it up? Maddie can whip it up for you. Cool, cool. In that case, can I have a large quadruple shot, double vanilla caramel, no foam, super hot, reverse, coconut milk macchiato? Oh my god. With 2 sugars and whipped cream on top? Maddie? Yes, dearest. Can you, I don't quite know how. Is this real? Oh, is it too much? Look, they're making the dead man feel bad. I was gonna ask for that shot of whiskey Che mentioned earlier, but it seemed a little extra. Well, yes, it is too much. I don't think even Starbucks would serve that. Why? Because it's a fucked up order, man. Dang. Every single word of that increased my urge to set the espresso machine on fire so I wouldn't have to think about making coffee ever again. Maddie has all the classic symptoms of being a pyromaniac, but she's definitely not a pyromaniac. Oh, but the whiskey's fine. I do that too. I have a counteroffer which you have to accept. Yeah? I'll make you another double shot long black and I'll put whiskey in it, but I won't call you a hipster this time. If you decline my offer, on God, I will strip your soul from your body and use it to scrub the counters at closing time. They will smell delicious afterwards, if it's any consolation. Yikes. That does sound like a competitive counteroffer. Not the soul thing. I'll take the coffee. My generosity knows no bounds. Look at that face. Normie. Ooh, ouch. Cruel. There's people back there. So, to conclude, that order sucked because it defies the laws of physics, has a heart attack's worth of sugar in it, and is something only wankers ask for. Is it possible to die twice? Yep. You can die twice if you're brought back from the dead, or if you manage to really annoy someone between here and the next place. Which is more likely because resurrection is illegal. Resurrection is reserved for emergencies, and the Council has very particular definitions about what constitutes an emergency. Many centuries pass without a single qualified emergency. But if you're asking whether you can get a heart attack or whatever, the answer is no. Life and death have a slightly different meaning here. Can't die from, quote, natural causes, unquote. It's a bit complex and weird, and we're still in the process of figuring out how it all works. I'm over 200 years old, and I still haven't made proper sense of it yet. Just got some vague ideas. Right. So what's keeping me from just staying here? Like, I'm already dead. Why do I have to go to the next place? You got a certain number of hours you're allowed to remain on the edge of the mortal realm. Hours are fungible. Fungible? They can be bought, sold, and exchanged, generally speaking. But the Council of Death always collects on debts owed to them. And you'll start running up a debt if you stay here too long. Your stool starts to get itchy too. Is there any feeling less pleasant than an itch you can't scratch? Probably, but it's still up there. It's not something you want to experience. We've had a few stay past their allotted time, and they've gotten very uncomfortable very fast. It starts with general irritability, and then worse things begin to happen. It's a weird thing to wrap your head around. How long do I have before I need to make myself scarce? You get 24 hours. Any longer and we start to pick up the tab since you're on our premises. The terminal is a place where borrowed time has a very literal meaning. And as charming as you are, we've already racked up too much time debt from letting people stick around past their expiry date. We're deep enough in the hole as it is, hours-wise. And cash-wise, we're extremely poor. We've been a bit too lenient in the past, letting people stay just a little longer instead of gently shooing them onto the next plane of existence, etc. You know the drill. But hey, since hours are fungible, you can always acquire them some other way. Book snap. There's something happening tonight, actually, you might be interested in. Seriously? You're still doing that? Shush. You know the council doesn't look on that stuff favorably. Ned said so himself. It draws customers and helps us shave down the debt. I'll take whatever I can get. And hey, fuck Ned. We have a 13-year-old right here, you know? Yawn. She's heard enough coarse language in her lifetime. I'm not too worried about her. She's right, though. What? Every time Ned comes around, he makes you guys really stressed out. Ashley's at the age where she's learned to recognize when other people are stressed, but not experienced enough to fully understand what it feels like. Maybe not you so much, but Maddie gets nervous and it brings down the mood, man. So fuck Ned. Ned sounds like a real asshole. Goodness, I think you've had too much coffee today. I am crashing so hard right now, you have no idea. It's like I was crashing earlier, but that was just a pre-crash, and I'm having a double crash or something. Sigh. All I ask is you try and keep the swearing to a minimum when customers are around. Okay. Does Kishan count? It's fine. A couple of my housemates are tradies, so you learn to ignore it pretty quick. A great way to save money on rent and never get lonely if you're not attached to the idea of personal space. I wonder what a tradie is. Australian slang, I don't know. Why must you taunt me? Are tradies... Were tradies? They're still tradies unless they changed careers in the last couple days. But they're not my roommates anymore because... Hey, mates, have I mentioned how much being dead sucks? Because it sucks and I feel extremely bad about it. Having a pretty bad time right now in general, to be honest. You and me both, Jackson. Yep. Even just adopting your language is a pain. Adapting your language is a pain, isn't it? Want a proper drink now? Without coffee in it? Yeah. That'd be good. The TV didn't say anything about there being a storm tonight. Melbourne storm. Noun. A somewhat unusual weather phenomenon known for being the only one of its kind to occur below the Barassi line. I wonder what that means. Huh. It looks like a decent-sized one's rolling in. Melbourne weather strikes again. I'll go upstairs and close the windows. Cheers. Come on, Ashley. Let's clean up your workbench while we're up there, yeah? Groan. Do you need a bribe? Yes. I have some chocolate hidden away. Acceptable. Wait. Dead people can still get drunk, yeah? Why else do you think we serve alcohol? To make money? Well, yeah. Hang on. Do I even have my wallet? Doubt it. I don't... Yeah. How does that work? Why do I have my clothes but not the contents of my pockets? A good place for things you don't have a place... that don't have a place. Chewing gum, spare change, nervous hands. I don't know, dude. Everyone's experience is different. Death doesn't follow many rules. Only universal rule I can think of is that you can't stay. People generally don't come in without their clothes, fortunately. Ba-boom. That was a lightning sound effect. I need to make my own. So about this drink, I'm guessing you're going to give me straight vodka or something? Why's that? You don't like making complex drinks. Haha, dude, no. I like making ridiculous caffeine-laced milkshakes for overcompensating soccer dads. I'm happy to mix a cocktail within reason. Okay, what do you got then? Shay's got everything you can think of, and then some. I could go for a mint julep. Hey, what's that outside? Oh, this seems ominous. Outside? Some guy out in the rain? Ah, shit. Maddie? Maddie, what's up? Let's get started on that drink. Ooh, is this Ned? Morning. Hi. Hello, recently departed. Hey, that hat you're wearing kind of makes you look like Ned Kelly. I could have sworn you were standing outside literally a second ago. Is Ned Kelly a character in this game? What the hell? So how'd this one cark it? Good morning to you too, Ned. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, Madeline. Piss off, Nedward. That's not even my full name. Isn't it, Maddie? Chase said it was, and he never lies. He never said that. Well, no, but it was worth a try. A try at what? Catching me off balance? Some shit along those lines? Mate, I'm so off balance right now that a light breeze would knock me head over arse. Don't push me. Hey, this mint julep is great. Just wanted to contribute that to the conversation. So, you catch the game last night? The Australian Football League provides everyone with a chance to root for your favorite local team, unless you're Tasmanian. Local color jokes. I love it. No. And I do not care to discuss the egg sport with you or anyone else. Don't try it. Oof. Just making polite conversation. You should try it sometime. Maybe. Not for you, though. You've never come in during daylight hours before. What do you want? Nothing much. I'd like to talk to Jay at some point, but I can wait, seeing as he's missing. Planning on sending out a search party. Might do. It'd be a shame to lose an old friend by letting him wander onto some train tracks or something. Yeah, well, shut up. He's upstairs last I saw. What was the last you saw, Maddie? Tell me. Why are you like this? What was it? Last saw him walking upstairs. So he could be anywhere then. Probably fled the country to dodge the massive time debt you lot are racking up. Some obligation's a way of following you, no matter where you run to. Can't go far. I've got him on a pretty tight leash. And in regards to the debt, it's not your problem. You must not have heard. Not your problem. Jay, your dickhead friend Ned is here. Oi, I'm a distinguished gent, not a dickhead. Let me down a sec. Yeah, sure, but you also work for the Council of Death, so even if you are a distinguished gent, it cancels out. Is the Council of Death like a normal city council, except for wherever dead people live? Yeah, the only trash that needs to be collected is right in front of me. This guy? Me? No, you. You're the trash, Ned. The trash is you. It's you. Ned the trash man from hell. Because councils pick up trash. That's the joke. Oh, cool. He's even got a headband shaped like a rubbish bin. It's totally fitting. Ellipses. Ned has realized he's chosen poorly today. Humph. I'm not from hell. I don't care. And to be clear, Ned, in case we weren't already, you are the trash. Yeah, I get it. You know how long Jay's gonna be? Dunno. He was busy upstairs with Ashley. Yeah, I'd hide like 5 steak knives from her. I didn't even know we had 5 steak knives. Bit quiet there, mate. How long you been sitting there? Doesn't matter. Well, your employee is being very rude to me. So if you'd heard any of that... I keep trying to tell him. Ah, my employee. Yes, we have some catching up to do. I don't follow. Did she quit? Maddie's not one to back away from a challenge, but if she did, she wouldn't be the first. Did you fire her for gross incompetence? Ha! Far from it. There's been quite a bit of shake-up in the cafe's management structure since you last visited. Oh no. Don't tell me you gave her the whole thing. Okay, I won't tell you. I tried to tell you before, man. Hey, does anyone else like mint juleps? Because this is great and I'm nearly done, but also my tongue is numb and I'm wondering what the deal with that is. I feel you, man. Nothing like watching other people's interpersonal drama play out in front of you. Was there something you wanted to discuss? I need a drink before we go through all that. Sure, the usual. Yes, please. How come he gets a curly straw? So, Che, spin me a tale of how and why you handed down the cafe to this person. Well, every man's got his price. Can my price be a curly straw too? Buddy, I'll give you 2 if it means you'll stop complaining about numb lips. Yeah, what did you make this with? I couldn't find half the ingredients, so I put in a bunch of baijiu and, chili seeds? It's got some of the stuff, though, so it's a mint julep and spirit, if nothing else. That sounds horrifying. Does this have any mint or julep in it? At all? It definitely may be lacking in mint, and I cannot confirm or deny the existence of the mythical julep. To some people, this place seems otherworldly. For others, this is just the world they live in. You asked for baijiu earlier, so there you go. Mission complete. Maddie, I'm getting drunk very fast. Baijiu will do that to you. Here, I think you should have a little lie down. He's turned green, poor bastard. I'll get you some water. I'm as strong as an ox. I don't need no lie down. Kashan, my dude, you are absolutely need to get as horizontal as soon as possible. You can sober up in one of the booths up the back. It's nice and quiet over there. I'll write ya. I'll win, though. Up you get, mate. Bloody hell. It would have been helpful if you'd told me about this before. Probably. I'm not worried about it. Maddie knew what she was getting into with this whole cafe situation. And it's natural that it might take a while for her to get the hang of running a business. Bloody hell. Bit of a dog's dinner, though, isn't it? Ned would know. Oh, for sure. But it'll get better. Like I said, not worried about it. Well, you might want to hold your judgment on that for the moment. I am, unfortunately, here on official business. Oh, I shouldn't have given you the straw then. No, you shouldn't have. I look quite silly. Want me to get rid of it? It's just Maddie. She won't use it to derail our conversation or make me look like a fool or anything like that. Straw? No, I'll get you one after you have a nap. You can sip the water like a normal person. I'll put it with the dirty dishes then. Oh, it's a, what do you call it? It's a treble clef. That's cute. Sacrifices I make for this job. Hey, you met me through it, so it can't be all bad. That was bloody 100 years ago. Man, really? Longer. Time flies when you're immortal, huh? Quasi-immortal. This old rust bucket's still got an expiry date somewhere down the line. Time comes for us all. What's this about immortality? Hey, you should buy more plants. Shut up. Sorry, continue. Immortality? Nothing I trust you with, that's for sure. Aw, you don't want to see crotchety old memeing Rudy youngsters in 100 years? Truly, I do not. The far future doesn't need amateur necromancers. Amateur can describe someone who's not good enough to turn pro, but can also mean someone who's passionately engaged in something just for the pure love of it. Your loss. So, you two heading upstairs? Actually, Ned does in fact have something fairly important to discuss with you. Oh? It's about the debt you owe to the council. Yeah, I know. What about it? Ooh, dramatic rock music. Maddie? It's time. You owe us over 600 hours. Che signed a contract. The hours are the cafe. You own the cafe, so you own the debt. And tonight, I've come to collect. Ooh, cutscene. Yeah, this looks really nice. I know this is more complicated, but I'm kind of digging the sort of limited animation style they're doing. It's cool. Also, that's a sweet OP. I would watch that anime. That was kind of intense. Do they do that often? The song and dance thing? Yeah, what do they think they are? Some sort of anime street gang? What sort of self-obsessed jerk has their own theme song? Don't be a downer, pal. No, I was talking about the dramatic encounter. Oh, between Maddie and Ned? Yes. Yeah, they've got chemistry. Not the romantic kind, the explosive kind. Ba-boom. Can't leave them in the same room together or they'll kill each other. Bad history. Maddie's just a serially troublesome person from Ned's perspective. Doesn't help that she can't stop herself from pulling pranks on him. No, I suppose not. I mean, he doesn't make it easy either. I don't think he's used to having his authority questioned. She really gets under his skin. Wasn't he a famous criminal? And therein lies the irony of the situation. For those of you who aren't familiar, Ned Kelly is a real person. He was an Australian outlaw. He was basically like a Wild West dude, but in Australia. There's been a couple of movies about him. There's one in the 70s that Mick Jagger plays him, weirdly enough. I want to say Nick Cave wrote another one. The fun thing about it is he wore like a suit of armor he made, not like professional, but he had like a metal helmet and like sort of like a big metal plate thing he would wear basically to protect himself. He was like a very notorious bank robber in Australia at the time. I don't know how well known he is outside of Australia, to be honest. I knew. And yes, he also looks like Lord Buckethead, which is very funny. Or Lord Binface, or whatever that guy on Twitter is. Yeah, no, that Ned Kelly. Yeah, he's that guy. So that's some local color for you. What a strange world we live in. This shouldn't be a depressing memory for any of us. Doodle Mold is now available. You can now speak to Ashley to access Noodle Mode. Do that later. I'll explore around here and then try and figure out how to heck to save this game. Because I don't really know how to do that yet. Looks nice out there. History of Germany. From Iron Circus Press, judging by the logo. I gotta be honest, this is a really nice coffee shop. I would drink here. Oh, there we go. Keep the balance. You're overdue this week, said Ned. He tapped the list of rules the Maddie kept posted by the door. This 24-hour rule, are you sure you've been enforcing it? I think how we run things around here is none of your business, said Maddie. Actually, it is absolutely my business, said Ned. In fact, keeping the rules is basically my only business. That's kind of what the word enforcer means. I'm supposed to scold you for breaking the rules. So audit me. Fine, said Ned. Let's check your ledger. We don't keep a ledger, said Maddie. Maybe you should, said Ned. Lots of places do. It's a great system. You have someone stand at the door and have them mark down whenever someone comes in or leaves. Then you forcibly evict people who are overstaying their welcome. I'm amazed that you don't have a system like that in place. Some people overstay their welcome, some people understay it, said Che. There's no need to strictly keep track of how long people stay, right? Just maintain the balance. You're right, said Ned. All that matters is maintaining the balance. So maintain the balance, because when you don't, then we have a problem. We're a bit short-staffed to have someone acting as a full-time doorman, said Maddie. Figure it out, Ned said. He tapped the board listing the rules. Change 24 hours to 23 hours. When you say 24 hours, people think you just colloquially mean one day and they don't pay attention to the specific time. When you say 23 hours, people actually have to keep track of what time it is. That would be fine, said Che, except for the part where you're cutting time of the people's stay. Trust me, said Ned. Anyone who would go right up to the limit is probably going to go over it. 23 hours is going to mean 23 hours plus an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour plus however long it takes to finish their drink. And if it's even less than 24 hours, who gives a shit? I give a shit, said Che. You're right, you should give a shit, said Ned. In fact, you should be celebrating whenever you manage to scooch someone out of here in under 24 hours because the balance is upset and you've got to correct it. You can either correct the balance 1 hour at a time, or the council can come in and repossess some souls. Or you can find someone who knows how to manage this property responsibly. He turned to Che. Come on, buddy, I don't want to have to take this place away from you. That would be quite the escalation, said Maddie. Well, you're already on the first level of escalation, which is a stern talking to, said Ned. Let's try not to escalate it any further. Che sighed. Maddie cut him off. We'll change the rule to 23 hours. Okay? Buzz off. Wow, really? Said Ned. Well, okay then. And while you're rewriting the signs, you should also take the green tea frappuccino off the menu. Frap should be for coffee, not tea. Done, said Maddie. Wait, really? Said Ned. Damn, I didn't realize you were so open to feedback. Also, that caramel... We'll take it under advisement, said Maddie, placing a hand on Shed's test and physically pushing him towards the door. Hold up, said Ned. What are you doing? Removing an unwanted guest, said Maddie. I need the practice if we're going to start enforcing those rules you care so much about. Now said Ned as he continued backpedaling to stay upright. Look, you could just... Bye, said Maddie as Ned crossed the threshold of the cafe and Maddie shut the door in his face. She turned around, leaning her back against the door and sighed. Che raised an eyebrow. You're serious about the rule change? Yeah, said Maddie. I'll change the sign in the menu after we close tonight. Wait, really? The rule changed just to keep him off our back, said Maddie. And the menu thing? I've mean to take that off anyway, said Maddie. It's the kind of menu item that attracts the worst sort of people. Well, okay, Che said. Though I do think we should change the rule back to 24 hours after things have had enough time to balance out. Of course, said Maddie. Wouldn't want to upset the balance too far in the opposite direction. What would we do with all that extra time anyway? Oh, irony of ironies. I can't go downstairs. Fancy. Maddie's inbox. From Jeanette Annette. GeneBean19@yahoo.com. Subject, Spirit Beacon Leaking. Date, January 25th, 2014, 7:30:58 a.m. To admin at terminalvelocity.org. Hi, Madeline. This is Jeanette from the location down by the docks. So we met in person for the first time last month. I was opening up this morning and noticed that most of our spirit juice was gone. I checked the map and saw that you're the nearest location with a spirit beacon. I think you may have drained some of our supply. Honest mistake, I'm sure. But if you could stop running your spirit beacon during peak hours, that would be much appreciated. Thanks, and looking forward to working with you in the future. Jeanette. From Jeanette Annette, GeneBean19@yahoo.com. Subject, Spirit Beacon Leaking. Date, January 28th, 2014, 1:59 p.m. To admin at terminalvelocity.org. Hi, Madeline. Hope you got my previous message. Just wanted to give an update on the spirit juice situation over here. I had several bottles that I marked last night just to confirm the issue, and when I got in the morning, the levels were below where I marked them. We're definitely losing spirit juice, and you're the only spirit beacon close enough to be affecting us. Please modulate your use to reasonable levels. I don't think this should be a problem as long as you're not running your beacon overnight. Also, not trying to assign blame here, but please be considerate to folks at other locations. Thanks, Jeanette. From Jeanette Annette, GeneBean19@yahoo.com. Subject, Spirit Beacon Leaking. Well, sadly didn't put a reread. It's always funnier when just endless reply reads. Date, January 31st, 2014, 7:37 p.m. To admin at terminalvelocity.org. Madeline, we are draining spirit juice over here so fast that if I sit and watch, I can see it disappearing from the bottle. You're the only spirit beacon that's even remotely close to where we are, so we really need you to stop. It's affecting us. If it's affecting us, then it's probably affecting other locations. This is completely unacceptable. Fix this now. Jeanette. From Jeanette at GeneBean19@yahoo.com. Subject, Spirit Beacon Leaking. Date, February 1st, 2014, 7:37 p.m. To admin at terminalvelocity.org. Hey, Madeline. Care to explain why you weren't at the terminal today when I showed up? I spoke with a girl named Ashley who said you decided to take the day off. What a coincidence. I was not impressed by the crying routine you had her do. Honestly, you should be ashamed of using a child's fake tears to try and hide from a situation that you caused. Turn off your beacon. I don't want to be the bad guy here, but if you don't do something, I'm going to have to get the council involved. From Clarence From at yahoo.com. Subject, misplaced cutlery. Date, February 8th, 2014, 5:34 p.m. To admin at terminalvelocity.org. Hi, Maddie. This is Clarence from the Docks location. Just want to give you a heads up this morning. We found out that the site manager we recently hired, I believe you met Jeannie Latland, was leaving spirit juice in untempered glass bottles, and we had a bit of a leak. We ended up having a bit of a problem with some automated cutlery. We have the situation under control over here, and we're mostly sure everything is accounted for on our end. Unfortunately, this started happening about a week ago, which might be enough for something to wander off far enough that we wouldn't be able to detect it. Very unlikely this happened, but just wanted to give you a heads up in case a possessed steak knife wandered off far enough to find your beacon and decide to pay you a visit. Sorry about this situation. Rest assured that the person responsible for this won't have any opportunities to mess up anything of this magnitude again. By the way, are you planning to go to M's birthday next month? Regards, Clance. From Maddie Zhao, admin at terminalvelocity.org. Subject read misplaced cutlery. Date October 12th, 2014, 6:42 p.m. to Clance From at yahoo.com. Hi, Clance. Sorry I missed your message earlier. I no longer use this address. Please use contact at terminalvelocity.org for anything related to terminal business. Hope you enjoyed M's birthday party. I don't remember why I couldn't attend, but I'm sure it was a good reason. Maddie. Womp womp. Some people need to get over themselves. Advisory role. Maddie was washing her hands when Ashley poked her head around the corner. Here to confess something or here to ask for something? Thought Maddie to herself. She dried her hands and turned to face the girl. The grin on Ashley's face confirmed that it was the latter. Maddie arched an eyebrow and turned to the coffee grinder. Ashley stepped around the corner and stood close enough to Maddie to occupy her field of view. Every time Maddie turned, Ashley again repositioned herself. She was waiting for Maddie to notice her. After a minute, Maddie decided that having Ashley hovering around her was more distracting than indulging whatever it was she wanted to talk about. What do you need, Ashley? I don't need anything, said Ashley. Though now that you mention needing things, I think you might need something. Such as? An advisor. Ashley smiled triumphantly as she delivered the word. Uh-huh. What would I need an advisor for? To advise you, of course, said Ashley. Alright, hold on, take a quick drink. I'm parched. Good. And I suppose you have a suggestion for who I should take on as an advisor? Well, said Ashley, now that you mention it, I'm not too busy. I could be your advisor. Because you're an expert on advising. That's what an advisor needs to know about. And what makes you an expert on advising? I've been learning a lot about advisors, said Ashley. They get to help make important decisions, and then the person they're advising has to take responsibility for them. That's why I make a good advisor. Because you don't want to take responsibility for your actions? I take responsibility for my advice. But if someone follows my advice, then that's their decision and their responsibility. Duh. I don't think I need advisors, said Maddie. Oh, but you do. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Oh, but you do, said Ashley. Aren't you always complaining about how busy you are? I forget what, but I was playing something with Natasha where I think I usually, often she'll, sometimes she'll sit a little farther away when we're playing something with text, and I'll like read it off to her, and I gave myself a little bit of a sore throat reading off all the dialogue. I don't remember what it was, but it was a little much. Yes, said Maddie. So busy that I don't have time to have extra counseling sessions with you. I'm not going to be your counselor, Maddie. I'm going to be your advisor. The difference being a counselor counsels and an advisor advises. Of course, said Maddie. Busy people always seem to have advisors, said Ashley. The Prime Minister has advisors. Presidents, too. All the most important people have advisors. Their advisors tend to be more experienced than they are, said Maddie. Advice travels from those who have it to those who need it. Well, I'm doing fine, so I don't need advising, said Ashley. But you could do with some advising, and I'd be happy to give you all the advice I've got. Plus, you're more important than I am. You're kind of like the Prime Minister of the Terminal, or the President of the Terminal, or whatever. The kind of person who needs advisors. I see, said Maddie. So, am I hired? You already have a lot on your plate, I'm sure, said Maddie. Nope, said Ashley. I've got lots of time free. In that case, you have time to wash these dishes for me, said Maddie, tossing a drying rag to Ashley. Let me know when you're done. Wait, said Ashley. I'm only free to advise. I'm physically fatigued from a long day of work. Only my mind has extra processing power. I can only help you if it's by advising. Well, advising has physical responsibilities associated with it, right? Said Maddie. Like, sometimes an advisor will go to places to get important information. I guess so, said Ashley. I can do anything that relates to giving you information. In that case, Advisor Ashley, I need you to give me a report on which of these plates looks best when it's sparkling clean. But they're all dirty right now. Exactly. Time for you to do some investigative research. See ya! I like this game. It's fun. Oh boy. Delicate operation. Ashley stepped behind the counter and winced as the floor creaked under her feet. Maddie was nowhere to be seen, but Maddie did possess a remarkably sharp sense of hearing. Luckily, the cafe was empty as Ashley tiptoed to the case where Maddie kept the baked goods. Ashley lifted the glass lid off the case and closed her eyes as the scent of yesterday's Lamingtons wafted up and overwhelmed her. Ashley had spent most of her life convinced that she didn't like coconuts, but that had changed the day that Che introduced her to Lamingtons. To be fair, Ashley still wasn't sure she actually liked coconut. Chocolate frosting can make anything taste good, but she couldn't deny the cake's irresistible allure. Ashley lifted a Lamington from the case and gently set the lid back down. She raised Lamington to her lips and opened her mouth to take a bite. Ashley? In a moment of panic, Ashley shoved the pastry in her mouth and sealed her lips. Her mouth was quickly overwhelmed with the pastry's thick frosting covering, and she did her best to choke it down before turning to face Maddie. Said Ashley, hoping that her cheeks didn't betray what was inside. Ah, good you're here, said Maddie. It was a bad sign anytime Maddie expressed pleasure at seeing Ashley. Normally, Maddie wavered between being annoyed by Ashley's presence and being indifferently tolerant of her. Anytime Maddie was happy to see Ashley, it meant work. I need you to deliver something to Che for me, said Maddie, turning to the counter to pick up a small bottle of something. As Maddie turned her attention to the bottle, Ashley took advantage of her momentary distraction and gulped down the remainder of the pastry. No time to chew, but her teeth wouldn't have done much good with the thick frosting. You're not too busy, are you? Said Maddie. Ashley shook her head no. The pastry was no longer inside her mouth to create a conspicuous bulge of her cheeks, but opening her mouth would reveal that thick chocolate frosting was still probably present on her teeth, so she kept her lips sealed. Good, said Maddie. He's upstairs. Get this to him ASAP. She handed the bottle to Ashley, and Ashley found herself surprised by how light the bottle was. Looking down, she could see that the bottle had thin walls. Within those thin walls contained some clear liquid, and its seal was held in place by a metal clamp, hermetically sealed. Ashley turned to the stairs, holding the bottle of the neck in one hand, and let out a sigh. One last thing. Ashley swallowed her sigh with a gulp and closed her mouth before facing at Maddie, lips tightly shut. Be careful not to drop it, said Maddie. Thousands could die if you spill any of it. In any other situation, Ashley would have asked Maddie a probing question to figure out what was in the bottle, or to get some idea of the significance of the task that had been assigned to her. Significant enough that thousands of lives held in the balance, but apparently not important enough for Maddie to do it herself. Ashley's lips remained sealed, and she merely nodded and turned around. Lamingtons were not meant to be consumed in a single bite, especially by mouths as small as Ashley's, and the thickness of the frosting that lingered in her mouth and throat made her desperate to ask for some kind of drink, but she dare not ask for one. Ashley looked down at the bottle, unsure of the best way to carry it. The bottle was slightly too large for her to hold in just one hand, and grasping it in front of her with two hands felt awkward. The bottle wasn't heavy, but Ashley's confidence in her ability to carry the bottle without dropping it was less than perfect. Should she cradle it under her arms protectively? No, that seemed like putting her at a greater risk of fumbling the bottle. The crook of her elbow wasn't as dexterous as her fingertips. She settled for carrying the bottle with one hand placed under the bottom to hold the weight, and another wrapped around the neck to steady it. Ashley walked slowly with the bottle as she ascended the stairs. Madeline hadn't told her the liquid was volatile, and the bottle was hermetically sealed, so there was zero chance of anything spilling out, but that didn't change the sense of trepidation Ashley felt. Armed with the knowledge that there was potentially thousands of lives at stake, she cringed every time she saw the liquid sloshing inside the bottle, leaping up and lapping at the edge of the seal. Ashley realized her arms were shaking and pressed the bottle against her chest, hoping to steady it. So Ashley's hands shook nervously with the bottle held against her chest. She wondered if the large amount of sugar she had just forced down her throat had something to do with the shaking. It was more likely that sheer shaking was a result of being told that thousands of lives could be lost if she dropped the bottle. Still, the lingering taste of the pastry in her mouth didn't help. Ashley silently lamented the fact that she had been forced to consume the Lamingtons so abruptly. Lamingtons were a treat to be savored, not shoved into one's mouth in a moment of panic. She hadn't even had a chance to properly enjoy it. It was hard to simultaneously feel the pleasure of a tasty treat and the panic of being caught. Whatever the outcome of this errand, she had wasted a wonderful pastry. Several agonizing minutes later, Ashley arrived at the top of the stairs and spied Che standing at the handrail. As she walked up, Che turned to face her and she presented him with the bottle. Ashley cleared her throat of any lingering stickiness before speaking. Maddie said you needed this. Ah, good, said Che. I was running low. Ashley gasped with relief as Che took the bottle from her and started taking deep labor breaths, suddenly become aware of how high her heart rate was. Che popped open the seal of the bottle and splashed some of it onto a rag. Several drops dripped onto the floor and Ashley let out a terrified squeak. Something wrong? Said Che. Maddie said that thousands of lives can be destroyed by what's in that bottle. Well, that's the idea, said Che as he folded the rag and ran along the railing that overlooked the cafe's ground level. This is supposed to kill 99.9% of all bacteria. They still leave hundreds of bacteria alive, but I try not to think too hard about that part. Ashley's jaw dropped. It's disinfectant? Yeah, said Che. Why, did Maddie not tell you? Ashley's shoulders slumped in a mixture of relief and exasperation. She only told me that it would kill thousands. And you didn't ask what she meant by that? No, said Ashley. I was preoccupied. Huh, said Che. He turned his attention back to the railing, inspecting it for a moment before continuing to wipe it. Ashley turned to head backstairs. By the way, Ashley turned to face Che. He reached out and placed a finger on her shirt, wiping off a bit of frosting. He raised it to his finger and smelled it. Chocolate, he said. Yes, said Ashley. One of Maddie's Lamingtons? Yes, said Ashley. Che nodded and licked the frosting off his fingers. Go downstairs and bring one for me too, will you? Bump, bump. Brad took a sip from his beer. It was non-alcoholic, but there was something about the dry aftertaste that kept him frosty. He leaned over the table and lined up his next shot. He eyed the problematic 9-ball in the upper right corner. He had a low percentage shot on it if he elected to bank into it, but he had 2 other stripes in the lower left to set it up. If he had an audience, he'd go for the bank shot for sure. He'd liked a chance to shine. But today there was no one to impress, no audience for flashy, low percentage shots. He took the shot on the 11 and 12, and 3 shots later sunk the 9. An easy shot on the 8 sealed the deal. Brad scanned the table. 4 solid balls remained, a dismal performance on his part. Or a stellar performance on the part of the Stripes player. That was the problem with playing against yourself. You always won, but you always lost too. Brad chugged the remainder of his beer and added to his collection of empties, which now stood 5 bottles strong. He took a moment to survey the room. His table was only one of the 4 that was in use. That didn't come as any surprise to him. It was early in the evening, and he'd grown accustomed to spending time alone in his room. He knew what he could come here to be alone, and when the other sharks showed up, Brad grabbed the triangle. It was looped around his collection of beer bottles and set the balls in order from another round. Someone came up the stairs, and Brad looked up briefly, long enough to see a woman that he recognized as the dour-faced barkeep who had served in the beers that kept him company for the past hour or 2. Several steps behind the woman, he saw an older-looking man. The man stopped in front of the table opposite Brad's and began chalking up his cue. Brad directed his attention to the man. He usually offered people a game when they came up, but the man seemed prepared to keep it to himself. So Brad said nothing and tried to focus on his own table. He set up to break, and the older man coughed as he shot. He hit the cue ball just a fraction of a degree off. It bounced off the rack into one of the side pockets as the rest of the balls jostled around the table. Stink. Brad didn't swear when playing pool. His early experience with competitive billiards had been in the environment that forbade obscenities and issued foul penalties every time he let out involuntary shit or fuck. He had to find cleaner substitutes. Break came the sound from the old man's table. 2, 3, 4. Brad put down his break cue and picked up the leather-tipped cue that was leaning against the table. 5, 6. Brad chalked his cue, trying to avoid the tilt from his bad break. 7, 8. He lined up to shoot and realized the man had already finished fishing his balls out of the pockets and collecting them in the triangle. Brad did double take. Had the man sunk the 8 ball after 8 strokes, including break? Brad continued playing his own table, kept an eye on the older man this time. It happened again. Break, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A perfect clean sweep. As the old man began clearing the table, Brad walked over. Excuse me, he said, but I couldn't help but notice that you just hit 2 perfect games. What's that? The man turned to Brad, squinting at him. Brad repeated himself a bit louder this time. I was just complimenting you on 2 perfect games. Impressive stuff. The man heaved his shoulders. Sometimes you get a bit of old luck on your side. Still, said Brad, you don't see novices hitting 2 consecutive perfect games. The man offered an ineffectual shrug. Do you want to play a game? Brad gestured to his own table, which was already set up. Most of the people who come here tend to be novices. I've been itching for a bit of competition. Brad paused, but the man said nothing. Of course, you prefer to play your own table. I don't mean to intrude. We can play, said the man. Oh, if I can shoot a perfect the 3rd time, you won't get to. I'd be impressed if you could pull that off, said Brad. The older man racked the balls and stepped away from the table to let Brad break. Brad leaned over the table and took several practice strokes of finally connecting with the cue ball. The break was weaker than he expected, but he managed to sink one ball. He looked at the table, annoyed, and realized that he hadn't bothered to check the rack was frozen before he broke. His next shot was straight into the middle pocket. He briefly visualized the trajectory of the cue ball in his mind. It would easily knock the 6 ball in and bounce towards the front of the table. Brad wasn't confident of where exactly the ball would stop, but he was confident to be able to do something with it. He took the shot, the 6 ball went in. Solids. After the cue ball settled, found himself with no good options, Brad smiled. Thinking something out of nothing was his specialty, and after a few moments of eyeing different angles, he settled on a shot towards one of the bottom pockets. A strike ball was in the way, so Brad hit the cue ball several degrees to the side, curving its trajectory around the enemy ball. It hit the solid 3, and the shot was made. Brad looked at the man, hoping for some kind of reaction. The man's mouth remained a flat line, but his eyebrows arched. If anything, the man's lack of obvious expression struck him as a deliberate attempt to not show a response. That he had managed to get a slight rise of the old man felt like a sweet victory. Brad made his next shot quickly, an easy, straight-in shot on the 2 ball, made without thinking about where the cue ball would land. That was a problem for future Brad. But several seconds later, present Brad found himself scolding past Brad for putting himself in such a foul position. He was corner-hooked. With the cue ball trapped next to the corner pocket, the only other angles available to Brad existed in a 90-degree arc. He surveyed his limited options, breathed a sigh of relief as a relatively straightforward bank shot presented itself. It was an awkward angle, but he knew he could coax the 3 ball into the opposite corner pocket. He took the shot, watching the 3 ball rose compliantly into its designated pocket. Fortunately, the cue ball went with it, ending Brad's turn and placing the ball in the man's possession. Ah, stink. Brad could have sworn the man winked at him as he finished the cue ball out and lined up a simple shot on a side pocket. The 9 went in. And the 11 and the 12. Brad found himself taking it for granted that each straight ball would enter its designated pocket and instead focused on the cue ball. Somehow the cue ball always wound up in a position that presented the oldster with the ideal chip shot. Ball after ball fell off the bed until only black 8 ball and Brad's solids remained. Fortunately for Brad, the 8 ball and the cue ball were at opposite sides of the table, several of Brad's balls in between. The man eventually gave up and settled for a defensive shot to put the cue ball behind the 8 ball. Now the tables were turned. Brad was the one cut off from his balls. He lived for shots like this. He took the shot. The cue ball hit the 8, and the 8 hit the 1, and the 1 hit the 7, bouncing it against the front of the table and into one of the side pockets. Brad couldn't help but smile. Things couldn't have gone better even if he planned them. Instinct and muscle memory did what his calculating mind couldn't. Now that the ball was conveniently free of strike balls, Brad had no trouble sinking the remaining consecutive shots he needed to close out the game. As Brad lined up the final shot on the 8 ball, he studied the older guy. And the man was reacting, he couldn't tell. Brad closed his eyes as he completed the final stroke, as he always did. He wasn't really religious. He'd stopped going to church with his mom when he was 12. It always felt right to leave the result of the game to God. Damn, said the old man as the 8 ball fell into its pocket. Brad flinched. He'd been hoping for some praise to the man for winning the game. Perhaps a damn was all that man was prepared to offer. Excuse me, said Brad, but I don't think we bothered to exchange names. I'm Brad. Thomas, the old man extended a hand. I've got to say, said Brad, you're quite a player. I take it you're not from around here? No, said the man. I grew up in Brisbane, retired in Sydney. I'm just passing through. Brad nodded. I figured. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. Played on tables just like this when I was a kid, so I know most of the folks in the local competitive circuit. I'm guessing someone like you would have to play competitively, huh? You don't pick up skills like that in a tiny pond. You'd be surprised, said Thomas. A man can accomplish quite a bit when he's given enough idle time. But you have played competitively, said Brad. I used to, yes. I actually former retired many years ago, but kept a table at home for practice, just to keep my mind sharp. Where did you compete? Oh, I toured in England. Wait, said Brad, you were a pro? A pro makes a salary, said Thomas. I won enough to cover my travels expenses and to make up for the time I'd spent not working a real job. Brad couldn't hide his excitement. Wait, you said England. Did you ever play in the World Billiards Championship? Yep, said the old man. I've had the WBC for a few years, but eventually I decided the title was a summit I'd never reach, so I quit. Wait, said Brad again. You said your name was Thomas? Are you Thomas Walsh? Indeed I am, said Thomas. You're a legend. I think you might be overstating it, said Thomas. Even when I was at my prime, I wasn't the best. Results speak for themselves. Nah, fuck that, said Brad. You were a finalist for 6 years running. No one's ever been that consistent. Even the best pros who manage to run hot burn out after more than 2 than 3 years. Thomas sipped his beer. I spent hundreds of hours watching your videos, said Brad. I didn't realize there were videos of me. I have tapes from the finals from 1967 and 68, said Brad. They didn't record them before that, but your last 2 years got recorded for posterity. They're kind of rarities at this point, but I had a coach who had a vault of old footage. Coach? Thomas arched his eyebrows. Yeah, said Brad. You didn't have a coach? Thomas shook his head. We mostly just taught ourselves and each other. Sometimes you got to practice with people better than you, but that was it. Well, I mostly taught myself, said Brad, but after I started winning some regionals, joined a team so that I could get sponsored and have a group to train with. Interesting. Brad waited for Thomas to question further, but no questions came, so he decided to continue with that invitation. I won the WVC in 2012. No luck since then, I take it, said Thomas. Brad stared out. Well, yeah. He laughed, awkward. I've never been a consistent player. Not like you, anyways. He offered a sheepish grin. I had an album full of articles, clippings, talking about, like I was some kind of prodigy. The next big thing. Now it feels like I'll forever be a footnote in history. Brad waited for the words of affirmation to come from his hero. Thomas just took another drink from his glass, finishing it off before setting it down next to Brad's empty bottles. Said Brad, feeling foolish. Can I get you a drink in exchange for another game? It would be a real pleasure. Sure, said Thomas. Get me a Guinness. Actually, make it 2. Brad sprinted downstairs and returned 7 minutes later with a tray bearing 2 pints of Guinness. Thomas began setting up the table for the next game, Brad hovering over him. You know, said Brad, this place is pretty magical. Getting to play a game of pool like this. He wasn't quite sure how to say it, but he figured Thomas knew what he was getting at. I mean, this is the sort of place where anything can happen, you know what I'm saying? Not anything, said Thomas. There are limits. Well, yeah, said Brad, but still, 2 former champs swimming from beyond the grave, so to speak. It's not the kind of encounter you'd expect to have anywhere else. Thomas looked at him. Magical indeed. When I walked up here, I didn't realize you were, well, he rubbed his chin. Let's just say I don't meet a lot of pool pros at bars. He took a sip of his beer. You want a break? Sure. Brad broke, and with hands guided by instinct, managed to sink 5 balls consecutively. Like magic, his shots always connected. Some people might buckle under pressure, but Brad's performance always seemed to rise to the occasion. With just 2 strike balls left, Brad knew he was on a streak. But as he lined up his next shot, he took a moment to consider the position of the 8 ball. It was nestled in an awkward position behind Thomas's balls. But he could clear a path to it while still stinking the last stripe. Brad looked at the sea of balls and knew there was no way for him to mentally calculate every vector, but instinct had gotten him this far and he wasn't about to stop listening to it now. Brad took the shot and the cue ball knocked the last stripe ball into the corner pocket. Then the cue ball bounced off the table back towards Thomas's cluster of balls. Brad grinned in elation as the cue ball hit a solid, which hit another, and another, in a chain reaction sent the 8 ball heading right towards the corner, just like he wanted. It was headed right towards the corner, where there were no balls to intercept it. It was headed right towards the corner, into the pocket. He stopped grinning. Brad knew with a growing dread the friction of the cloth wouldn't be enough to stop the ball in time. He watched the impending disaster happen in slow motion, powerless to stop. The game had been going so well. He'd been about to hit a perfect game in front of his childhood hero, and now he was going to lose in the most inglorious way imaginable. An accidental, illegal combination shot. Brad closed his eyes, but not even God could help him now. He didn't need to see it. The sound of the ball plunking into the pocket was enough. He'd lost the game. Ah, poor dude. Well, it said billiards won. Maybe he'll get more story later. Alright, my throat is tired, so I'm going to stop here. So I can't seem to interact with anything, which is odd. Alright then, curious. Well, you know what? That's a sign to stop anyways. So thank you all for playing and coming out here and watching me play tonight. This was a lot of fun. I will see you all next week. We'll be playing more Necrobarista. And you have a good week. I'll see you then. Good night.